Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're gonna check Critical Green, but before we start, don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe if you enjoy the content. So, let's start with supporters that you can use for Critical Green strategies. So, the first supporter that we have is going to be Kowaru. Kowaru is one of the best critical supporters because she gives almost 50% damage increase on critical damage. The problem with most of these supporters is that you are forced to crit. So this is not going to be that viable on VR. It is possible to use critical strategies on VR, especially if you use someone who reduces critical resistance, but it's still not recommended. So the first one we're gonna check is Kowaru. As you notice, she's gonna give you almost 50% critical damage increase, which is great. And this is for all kind of attacks. It can be range or melee. Her active is good as a way to clear a wave of enemies, of mobs. It is not busted, it is not particularly good, it's just okay. Then the next one is going to be Akane. Akane is another excellent supporter, but there's a caveat for this one. Normally, she increases damage to all enemies by 20%. That's low, but it's good enough. Then, increases critical damage dealt to bosses by 50% for 10 seconds upon scoring a critical hit. Yeah, if you're going to crit, this is insane. This is one of the best supporters if you're facing a boss and you can crit it, because this gives you 70% damage increase if you're constantly critting, that is. So it is amazing. Then the active is also appreciated because it deals a little bit of damage, it knockbacks the enemy, but the important part is that it recovers HP. This is super good for those supporters who cannot recover HP, for those characters that cannot recover HP. Then we have Yuno. Yuno is another excellent critical supporter. She, as it says, increases the critical rate of normal attacks by 16% each normal attack, using 5% of particles. So this gives you critical rate, so you have more chances to crit, but it doesn't increase critical damage until you put it on the active. If you put it on the main slot, then it's going to increase critical damage of normal attacks by 56%. That is a big number for a critical rate increase, a critical damage increase. The problem is that it's only for basic attacks. If you're using a strategy that focuses on basic attacks, like the one that I no, it cannot be that one with the Boro because it was blue. But I mean, you can put this on the main, so yeah, it can work. If you are going to use a basic strategy, you can use this. And the most important part of her kit is not only the critical synergies, but also the invincibility for 14 seconds. That's amazing. Even if you have troubles with your basic attack strategy, the invulnerability is going to give you it's kind of a super armor and damage nullification. So you're not going to be interrupted, and you can just spam your basic attacks, dealing a huge amount of critical damage. Then, by the way, you can equip all of these supporters next to supporters that synergize with your gameplay. If you're going melee, you can use Nagiko Toni. If you're going with another melee, you can use Ichika. If you are going poison, you can go with Ichika. If you're going with debuffs, with a suppressed type demon character, you can use this one. So yeah, you can always equip all the critical supporters with something else, but preferably you want to increase your enchantment level. We're going to talk about that in a moment, but let's continue. So next critical Suruga. Suruga is another excellent supporter for critical. If you have her, she's amazing. Why is she so good? Because she increases both critical rate and critical damage. That's the main appeal. So, increases critical rate of all attacks by 16% and critical damage of all attacks by 32%. So, it's balanced and it allows you to guarantee that you're going to crit. I mean, depending on your level and how strong you are. But it is pretty effective. Then the active. Claw one enemy to inflict damage and bleed effect of 144% damage. So the active is not as good, but you can use it if you want. I mean, it is a big amount of damage, so it's definitely usable. Then we have Lefria, which we already received the repeat, so if you don't have her, then it's gonna be some time before you get her. So what does Lefria offer? Lefria increases critical rate for human type characters by 30%. That's very good. I mean, it is not the best effect because you want to increase your damage rather than your chance to crit. But increasing the chance to crit at the beginning of the game is super useful because you're going to deal more damage. And besides, the active is pretty good. You're going to deal damage, you make the enemy bleed, and also you're going to deal 50%, increase damage by 30% for 10 seconds. This gives a damage increase, so it's very, very good. Then we have Corporate Warrior Ingrid. Corporate Warrior Ingrid is limited, so that's a problem, an impediment to get this. But if you have her, she's pretty good for making tanky critical demons. It says reduce damage taken by demon type characters by 30%. It's gonna be 30%. And increase critical damage of demon type characters by 30%. So yeah, reduce damage and increase critical damage. And also, if you have it on the active, you're going to do consistent damage. It says when the battle starts, conjure an aura of flames that increases the damage to enemies by 20%. This is pretty good because it increases the damage to enemies, but that means that your partners in VR are also going to deal increased damage. That's great. And burst the enemies by 20% of damage every 2.5 seconds. Yeah, so you deal consistent damage with this. The active knocks up the enemy into the air and deals 1200 of damage with flame source. The amount of damage is just good enough to actually use this. So if you want, it's a great idea. Let's see. What other criticals we have? This is strange. No. We're almost done. There aren't that many criticals actually. So the next one is Assault Uriharine. Assault Uriharine is basically Lefria, but a little bit better. Just a little bit better. Increases damage by 6% per nearby enemies. For stages like, I don't know, let's say Machine VR. Yeah, Machine VR, which constantly respawn the enemies. This is pretty good. For Demon VR, it's good at the start, but then it's going to drop to 6% when you have it maxed out, so it is not that great. And for stages like Mass Taimanin, it's not that great. So you want the enemies to respond, or you want to focus on the boss quickly, so that you deal the most damage out with this. And similar to Lefria, it is restrictive, yes, because you can only use it on humans, but it is definitely worth it to increase the critical rate. Also, when using a skill, speed increases by 6% for 5 seconds and is stacked up to 3 times. If you have it on the main, this is super amazing because you're going to be super fast. I mean, not super fast, but just fast enough to actually abuse this with the basics. And the active is actually not that great. You put some mines, you deal damage, and you gain electric shield, which is a damage reduction for range attacks, if I'm not mistaken, as well as a little bit of super armor, but it is not that great. Let me check. Does this normal attack? No, this is a raw damage increase. This one, Nano is one of the best supporters in the games. I've been very fortunate and I have gotten her in tickets. Like a couple months back, I've got some copies of her. She's pretty good. And it says increase damage dealt by 30% with range attacks. It's going to be 40% when maxed out with range attacks. And increase critical damage by 40% with melee attacks. So yeah, this is a mixture. This is always going to be good. no matter what build you're using, because it increases damage for both sides of the spectrum. But if you're using melee, you want to guarantee your crits. The passive reduces damage taken from all enemies by 10%. It's not that big, but the damage increase is huge, so it's definitely worth it. And deals damage to all enemies, explodes after 3 seconds, dealing 100% damage. So yeah, I mean, it is a good amount of damage. If you want to use it on the active, it's also fine if you don't have anything better. But I think that critical green supporters have a wide variety of effects, and maybe you actually want to use something different on the main. Let's see, if I'm not mistaken, there's nothing else-ish. Well, technically, the founding 3. Increase damage, let me check if I can. I guess it's gonna be 20%. And this is gonna be 25%. Yeah. Increase damage dealt to enemies by 25%. Reduce damage taken from enemies by 25%. Increase HP by 20%. Yeah. Every 3 combos increases critical damage by 16% for 5 seconds, stacked up to 3 times. So yeah, this is actually pretty good. It's going to give you like 32, 48% critical damage increase if you have it on the main. It is very, very good. Besides, all the effects in the passive are generally good. And this summons a familiar, one of the 3 of them, that is going to deal damage. And that's fine. So as you can see, we have options. It's not like everything is critical related, but there are many things that you can do with these supporters. Also, you can combine it with different supporters from red and blue that enhance critical. If you want that, that's completely fine. Or, as I mentioned, you can equip them with something that synergizes with your character, with their kind of attack that they do, or maybe with your strategy. So, let's see. Yes, before we start with a couple showcasing and testing. Super important that you increase your enchantment as much as you can if you're going to go critical, because preferably you want to avoid using things like Rin and Lefria. Yes, they are good, very good actually, but no, not Helga, Lefria. But you want to increase the damage rather than increase the critical chance, because this slot could be used for damage increases. The good thing about Lefria is that you can put it on the main and you still get a lot of value out of her thanks to the damage increase on the enemy. But, well, Rin also gives a lot of value thanks to the speed increase. So, you may use them, but preferably you want to go with pure critical damage, avoiding as much critical rate as possible. And you want to increase your critical rate by using critical Magatamas and enchantment. That is super important. There's a couple weapons that also work with critical. For example, all the Momochi weapons are going to be super good for critical builds, as long as you're able to crit, that is. Yeah, because they're going to, it says, each critical hit increases the damage to the target by 8%, stack up to 5 times. Okay, so that's gonna be like 40% damage increase. That is very good. That is very good. So keep that in mind. And you have an active that increases the critical rate, though. That's also pretty good. If you are having troubles, you can actually use those. But I don't recommend that you use the actives. You want to have naturally good critical rate by enchanting the weapons. Let's see. I'm gonna just look at the weapons. I wish we had a way to actually look at the filter the effects, like what increases critical. Like there's a couple weapons. Some of the premium weapons actually help with critical, but none of them are good. For example, Lapis Prism, the one from Mecha, increases critical rate of normal attacks by 30% when maxed out. This is horrible because her normal attacks are not that bad, and you're increasing critical rate rather than increasing critical damage. One of the best weapons that you can equip are definitely the critical weapons. Let's see. For example, for Ingrid, for Oboro. Someone else has a critical weapon. I think Ingrid, Oboro. No. I don't remember if there is another character who has a critical weapon. But these SRs are critical weapons. They are excellent. You can also go for where is here? Kirara. Kirara has a UR weapon with a critical damaging effect that is pretty good. And Lina is about to get her packed, and her weapon is going to give 50% critical damage. So that's amazing. That's super great. Another thing to take into consideration are the effects that the skills provide. The triple color skills, I mean not triple color, the single color skills, let's call it single color skills. All of them have one of three effects: either critical damage increase, raw damage increase, or critical rate increase. So the best effects for advanced content for green builds are going to be critical damage increase, like Micah's, or raw damage increase. Let's see if I have, I don't know, Asagi, for example. Skill. Rejinka. Raw damage increase, yeah. Those are the best because they increase your damage as much as possible. But there's value to be seen in the other ones. For example, no, this is critical. Then perhaps Sakura, I guess. Let's see. Shadow Claw. Wow, she's even bigger. That's amazing. I don't know who has critical rate increase on green. Damage. I guess Rin? Yeah, she has critical rate increase. So this is not as great. To have this kind of effect is not as great for the most challenging content, but it is super good for beginners. If you go, let's say that you have a couple of these supporters, but they are not at a higher S level. They are S level 1 perhaps. Then you can actually just use this, and you're going to guarantee your crits with this specific skill, and it's going to deal a lot of damage. It may erase the enemies just as that, deleting them super easily. So yeah, they are super great. The good thing about the crit strategy is that you can basically equip this to any character and it works. The problem, if your character doesn't have sustain, they are going to struggle with this, and you're going to be doing one of three things. You're either going to be over relying on, let's see, Akane, you're going to be over relying on Yuno, or you're going to evade everything and try to play perfectly so that you don't die before you finish the stage. So that's another thing. And there is one more weapon that I should mention definitely, especially in this moment. And those are the butterfly weapons, starting with this one. So the butterfly weapons increase the speed, but they also increase critical damage by 2% for 8 seconds when you attack the enemy, and this stacks up to 50 times. That's going to be 100% damage, critical damage increase. That's great. Oh, and there's one more thing that I almost forgot. I mentioned the green skills, yes, but there's actually something else that you should take into consideration, and that is buffs. Buffs that come from the characters. Let's see, for example, a Violet Slash from Rinko is going to increase critical damage by 50% for 7 seconds. So you Violet Slash, and then, well, you shift, then Violet Slash, and shift also gives you a damage increase. And then you use Mugen Hoi, and that's gonna be a huge amount of damage. capable of deleting enemies depending on your build. So yeah, it is great. Another character who can actually do this, let's see, Ingrid. Oh, I also forgot about Ingrid's weapon. Ingrid's weapon, not only does she have this one, but she also has this one. Each critical hit increases the damage to all enemies by 30% for 10 seconds, every 15 seconds. So it is pretty strong, I can tell you that. And the Crescent Slash effect is way too good. The improvement that this weapon does to the skill is amazing. So obviously we have Crescent Slash, that is the damaging skill, and it has critical rate increase. But if I'm not mistaken, oops. Critical damage increased by 30% for 5 seconds. Yes, you can use this one. Increased damage by 12% for 10 seconds. Similar to who was it? I already forgot. Well, similar to the previous character, Rinko, yeah. She can do this kind of combo where she buffs herself and then does a ton of critical damage. And the last one that I'm going to mention is probably going to be Anna Rose. If I'm not mistaken, she's also capable of doing this. Reduce Electrocute. Electrocute, debuffing the enemies, and also very important for this strategy because you want to optimize damage. And Electrocute is a kind of defense reduction, so that's great. Increases speed. Gain super armor, increase critical rate. No, she doesn't. She doesn't have a critical damage increase. Increases skill damage. I swear she had one. Defense, speed, damage. Oh no, yeah, she does. She has Jackson Bound. Jackson Bound is an excellent skill. It's an extreme dodge and it increases critical rate, damage, and defense. So it doesn't increase critical damage, but getting this kind of buffs is amazing. And of course, just because I remember that one, we have to talk about Kurenai. Kurenai is another character that increases, that buffs herself in green, and it's pretty good. And she's one of the better ones because she has a counter that recovers HP. Counters are not as good in VR as means of HP recovery, but they are good for everything else. She has this one. She has this skill with a huge critical damage increase, and this one increases critical rate and increases critical rate by an additional 20% if you're going green. So yeah, it is pretty good. So there's a ton of options and ton of builds that you can do, and I'm going to do tower with I don't know. Let's go with something easy. I'm going to go with Felicia. You can use this with whatever character you want. Also, remember, I'm putting this because of the Magatamas. Remember to go with critical damage Magatamas. You don't need critical rate. Well, unless you're going to VR. Why do you not need critical rate? Because the stats of the Magatamas, the stats of the weapons, everything else is going to give you enough critical rate to guarantee your crits. So you only want to go with damage increase, critical damage increase. So yeah, the advantage of using a critical build is that for stages where there are multiple enemies, you deal the same amount of damage to every enemy. So you're not going to be having troubles there. So I'm going to use, of course, Kowaru. I'm going to change this for, let's see. Okay. I will not use Suruga, just to change it a little bit. I'm going to use instead her, because she gives me 30% critical damage. And that's a good amount. And I'm going to use, Ingrid, just to reduce the damage. This is not wise, but I'm gonna do it even so. So, I want Blood Sight, yes. I want Vampiric Zone to recover HP. And I want this one. This attack is super good. So, yeah, I'm going to be squishy. Actually, you know what? No, I should... Okay, since it's step 100, I'm gonna change it because we are going to receive Lina. She's going to be green. So Lina's limited supporter. She's gonna be green. So I cannot spend the materials right now to get enough HP to actually use this. So I'm gonna change it for Akane. Yeah, I can use Akane instead. I don't need the HP recovery of Akane. I can go with Ingrid on the main. So yeah, this is 100. Yeah, it is 100. So as you're going to see, this is super viable because of the insane amount of damage that you deal. And fortunately, I just need to evade while I have that side rolling, and I'm going to recover my HP, and it's amazing. Look at this. I'm a walking ambulance. And also the other attack is going to heal my HP, so it's very difficult for me to die. I mean, I can die, yes, because if I receive a very strong hit, I can die because I don't have that much offense. I only have a couple damage reduction, a little bit of damage reduction coming from Ingrid, but I also have the damage reduction coming from the what's the name? From the awakening skills. Oh, there is another enemy. Well, that's fine. Come here. I'm going to give you this. HP recovery. And as you can see, I almost delete Edwin super quickly. So this is way too viable. It is way too good for characters with HP recovery like Felicia. Because on most content you are not going to be able to die because of the huge amount of damage that you deal. And that for most skills, the HP recovery depends on the amount of damage that you deal. I'm not going to use the ultimate. I'm just going to do this and this. And the board is down. Yeah, but against things like VR, where there's the chance to... the critical chance is down, there's also the chance to reduce the cooldown of... Well, to increase, technically, the cooldown of the skills. That's pretty bad, so be careful on VR. Yeah, you don't want to use crit on VR. It's a meme. You can do it, but it's just a meme, and it's not viable. So yeah, look at the damage. Look at how I erase Edwin. Actually, I just kill it with the aura, thanks to Ingrid. Okay. So yeah, you can just equip whatever you want, as I mentioned, with whichever character you want. And you can do different kind of combinations. For example, here I'm going to go with... no. What a hassle. Okay. I'll do this. I'm gonna do this. And I'm going to put here Felicia because she has the Magatamas. And I'm going to manually unequip them. And I'm going to remove her. And I'm going to manually equip them. So, effect, 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 effect. And no effect, no effect, no effect, no effect. There we go. So I'm using Invincible Juggernaut. This is super good, and it gives me critical rate. No, not this one, the support dose. But it allows me to use my skill twice if I want, which I do want. This is going to give me more particle charge to use my skill. This is going to deal a ton of damage. This is going to help me charge my particles with the multiple enemies. And the same can be said about this one. So yeah, you're gonna see that this is just busted. And the supporters, of course. Kowaru and Akane, the ones that give the most damage, because I want to deal the most damage. The critical rate is solved with the enchantment and the Magatamas, and this skill. Look at the insane amount of damage, and the weapon is going to allow me to use it twice in a row. So yeah, I'm just going to destroy Edwin when he appears. The only thing that I need to do is actually avoid one attack and then position myself. I avoid one attack, I position myself, I do Ruthless Explosion, and everyone, almost everyone is dead. As you can see, it is just too busted. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to charge my particles. And now, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do this. I forgot how to use the it's with the Y button. Okay, I'm going to wait. Yeah, I never ever use the weapon skills, even though it is a nice mechanic. Like usually they aren't strong enough. The passive in the weapons are usually what I use. So yeah. Now I'm going to do this. Y and this again, and as you see, I use Y twice. Don't do that. Be careful with your active. So yeah, it is pretty strong. Okay, Y, active, Y, and you see, I just eliminated everything. Oh well, almost everything. Y. There we go. Yeah, Micah is really strong for critical builds. Especially in stages like this. Like her set performs very well on tower because of the amount of enemies, so that you can charge your particles. On places like VR, like it works particularly well against machines. Because in Demon, the enemies don't respawn. Yeah, they come in waves, but they don't respawn constantly. You finish with the enemies on the wave, and they're dead. And that's it. That's all the particles you could charge. I mean, you continue to charge, but it's not the same amount as if you hit multiple enemies. So yeah, let's go with a human now. Let's see. I'm going to use filter, human. Who is good? Who needs the critical rate? No. No. I think I'll go with Momochi. Let me just check. What is the green skill? Stormbringer. And this one is... Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. That's really okay. So... I'm going to put Flutter here. I'm going to keep Momochi Sword Style because it is just that good. The basic enhancements for Momochi are just great. And Storm Dance, yeah, I'm gonna keep Storm Dance. Unfortunately, Momochi is a little bit restrictive. These skills are just so good that you don't want to change them. And the same can be said about Storm Dance because it's HP recovery. So it gives little... opportunities for the other skills to actually be used. Gremory, that's the thing that you should think about. Like, not make the other skills as usable. That's the thing. Don't nerf these ones, just make the other ones as appealing. So yeah, let's go with... I could use a mixture, or I could use full green. What do I want to use here? I guess I'm gonna use full green. So obviously the two strong ones. And I know what I'm going to use. We go human because we want to use one of the best supporters for crit. We want to use Lefria. Yeah, on the main because she gives even more value on the main. And Momochi has HP recovery. That's the thing. Thanks to her HP recovery, she can perform... Ooh, I got another copy of this one. I think... let me check. No, I should definitely go with the other one. Let's see. I'm going to take them again manually. So, unequip, unequip, remove, weapon. Yeah, this weapon is going to give me more value just because of the higher S level. It is not that the Momochi weapon is bad, it is pretty good, believe me. But since I have more copies of the limited one, I'm gonna use the limited one. Besides, both efforts are good. This increases my normal attack damage, and this is going to increase the damage of all my attacks. So actually this would be better if I had one more copy for this specific strategy. Let's see. So yeah, this is going to be again super simple. As long as you have HP recovery, it is very easy. We're gonna finish with a character who doesn't have HP recovery, and we're gonna use, I guess, I'll think about it, because I told you we can use both Akane or Yuno, depending on what you want to do. So yeah, the amount of multi-hits and the AoE is just amazing. Oh no, I got interrupted. What a shame. Well, whatever. I'm going to recover HP and now... Oh, I got interrupted again. What a surprise. Yeah, that's Momochi's biggest weakness. Be careful. You want to destroy the mobs. Why do I feel slow if I already don't have the slow? Okay, well, good thing that she does range attacks. Perhaps it's an effect of me playing with a ton of speed increase. I'm going to use the Tsuruga. Just by using Tsuruga, you see how much damage I dealt. Yeah, that's the value of Tsuruga. Of course, it's the weapon, of course, it's the critical damage, the mega damage, but pushing forward with Tsuruga is, not Tsuruga, with Lefria is just great. I keep saying Tsuruga when it was Lefria, but yeah, Lefria is very, very good. Now, let's finish with a character who doesn't heal on green. Like, she has healing always, but is not the greatest. I could go with Sakura actually. Oof, I'm missing one copy. Oof, I don't have it enchanted. Nah, I want someone who has both weapons enchanted. Let's see, I'm gonna go by level, because I also don't want to struggle that much. Yes, yes. I'm going to use the... Let's see. Oof. Okay, I'm not going to use Kill 'Em All missiles. Because that's going to give me HP recovery. So I'll use Mach Impact. I'm going to use... Increase damage. Knocks. Reduces the enemy's defense, but I have to take a hit. Yeah, this is okay too. I don't know. Either Slicer Zone or Wind God. I guess I'll use Slicer Zone because I want to do a bunch of evades. Wait. Mach Impact. Wait, which can which I can't use with this one? It's the... Dust Cyclone, I see, it's Dust Cyclone, they have the same command. So in that case I'll use the basic enhancer. Yeah, it's fine. It is better to have an evade in this kind of stage with multiple enemies. If it was a single enemy, I would use the Dust Cyclone. No, Mach Impact is for the same. No, No, it's fine, as it is. So let's see. This doesn't have HP recovery, at least not with this kind of build. And since I'm using machine, let's do something. I'm going to use her, Suruga, along with Kowaru. We're gonna use something more generic. The question is, I'm thinking. Who do I want on green? Ah, yeah, I wanted to check the kind of skills that I do. That was the thing. This is range, it's mixed. Oh, I wanted to use something like that goes for one side of the spectrum. In this case, you could use this. I'm not going to do it because my second weapon is not enchanted, and this one is not enchanted, so I might struggle if I do that, so I won't. Increases damage. Increases damage. It's not a bad option because this is a generic damage increase that goes up to 50%, and this is a 30% damage increase to range. Might as well. Yep, I will. Now, the only thing that I'm missing are my Magatamas. So, who was the last one? Was it you? No. It was a human, I bet. Oh yeah, it was Momochi. So let's go with the weapons. And this one. Super quickly. As you can see, critical is just one of the best strategies for most content. VR is the exception, but it is great. So I just equip again whatever max, well, perfect max, and then I put whatever max just for the stats. And there we go. Yeah, the idea here is to focus the boss ASAP. I mean, yeah, most of these skills are actually pretty good to deal against the enemies, the mobs. They have good AoE, so they are pretty great, as you can see. What was... Oh, there is another spider! Betrayal. Yeah. I feel so betrayed by my skills. There. Wow! Wow! Yeah, that skill is so strong. I really love Mach Punch. The damage that it deals. And the consistent stream of damage is just able to eliminate Edwin, as you can see. So 1, 2, like this, and everyone is down. Even though I don't have HP recovery, as long as you have an insane amount of damage, it is fine to do this kind of strategy, even if you don't have HP recovery. I mean, I could have used HP recovery, but I didn't. So yeah, that's about it, guys. I hope you find this useful. If you know any other weapons, supporters, skills, characters, or whatever that synergizes particularly well with critical builds, let me know in the comments. I'll be seeing you next time. Bye!